Welcome to Into the Current, where we explore trends in business, marketing, and culture. But due to what's going on in our country and in our culture right now, we've decided to focus our energy on amplifying the voices of people of color, Black and brown people in our community, so we can learn from them and support pursuit of social justice and equality in the United States. Our guest today is Rory Welsh, head boys varsity basketball coach and co-athletic director at Langston Hughes High School in Fulton County, Georgia. Rory, thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate it, and I wish it was under better circumstances, but we do want to try to use the platform that we're establishing here with Into the Current to help amplify voices that may not have that opportunity to speak out. So just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's going on right now. And I just want to start really with asking how you're feeling about what's going on in our country right now.
Well, first off, thanks for having me. Happy to be a part of it. Wish it was under better circumstances. Things right now are obviously come to a fork in the road, so to speak. Just what's happening, just from the top down. I think, we have the huge issue of police brutality that's been going on for decades and decades and decades, and now has, hit a stopgap where people of color and white people as well are just tired of it, It's had a tremendous effect in a lot of aspects of society, and it was only a matter of time before something like this came along that would allow us to really and truly focus in and get into that issue even more.
Our country was dealing with a really big issue before all the protests and the demonstrations started with the coronavirus pandemic. And now we're in this, so it's a really difficult time. What has, and you're a basketball coach, you're an educator, so you're around young people. Yeah. I'm really, curious to know your feeling on how your student athletes and just students and the young people that you're around are coping with all of this.
It's just a weird space. Simply because I'm around, the student body, I'm around my team, I'm around my program, because I'm the head varsity boys basketball coach at Langston Hughes, but we also have a JV team and we have a freshman boys team, and I'm, the figurehead of all of that, even though I don't coach the JV or the ninth grade team. So we have roughly 45 young men that are involved specifically in our basketball program. We have a school of roughly 2,000 students. And, you're used to having a really good pulse of what they're feeling, and whatever the status quo may be. Is just awkward not being entrenched in it like normal just because of the pandemic. We had the pandemic hit, and the first thing that went was, we got to get these kids out of school. So not being around them every day throughout, this pandemic issue, and then now into these, more social issues, has been a little different for me, because I would normally have my thumb right on it. But we still in, very good communication, and, we still, exist and live within, the culture and where we work and where we live in our communities. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster ride, this last 2 months of emotion, of ideas, of just things that could be troublesome to you, and to society as a whole. But you have to just kind of figure out your way, and hopefully cooler heads prevail, and then we get into finding solutions. And that's what I think we're at right now, is just finding really sustainable solutions for these issues.
What are some of those solutions that you think that we can get started with, and then sustain over the long haul?
To be honest, the first thing is to truly address it and to call it what it is. There's been a history of violence in the United States. I mean, the country was founded pretty much on violence. And it's been out of control from a lot of different levels, from those that are in charge to those who have no control at all, contributing. But we have to really identify it. We have to call it what it is, and that's happening now with all the protests and individuals, really putting a stamp on the Black Lives Matter movement. And now you start to figure out what the next step is after calling it what it is and addressing it. And I think, in my opinion, the very first thing that has to be done, you have to get some legislation going to help prevent some of this stuff. We can get the law on our side in terms of protecting Americans, protecting, human beings, from having occurrences like the George Floyd issue. I think that would curb a lot of it. So I was really pleased to see late last night there, have a bill in act. They just wrote it up, and it's police reform legislation. And I think that's the first step in the right direction, is getting legislation going to prevent individuals from being, killed in the street by a police officer. So that's the first step for me.
I agree, and today it's very present, right? So today is the 2020 primary election in the state of Georgia. Yeah. So we're in Georgia. I woke up extra early this morning so I could get out and vote. Went to my local polling place and vote. I understand that you voted today too in person. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Sure did.
I want to take it back to you being a coach and an educator. I grew up playing team sports, and so team sports for me taught me a lot. But one of the most important things it taught me was how to get along with other people that weren't like me, right? Being a white kid, growing up, and I played almost everything. That was really my first exposure to being around Black, brown, other non-white kids, and then spending a lot of time with them, having common goals with them, sweating with them, fighting with them sometimes, crying, laughing, and building bonds with people like that. You being a coach and you not being a white man, how do you use that platform to educate your players? And then, and is this something that you're talking about with them, with what's going on now? And then do you guys talk about politics and how to influence change via voting? Is that a conversation that you incorporate into your coaching and into your educational process?
Yes, for sure. Social issues are very important to me just personally. Just kind of growing up the way I grew up and making it to a point where I actually can have some positive impact on some young people. And I remember as a youngster, I was always kind of looking for, that role model, that voice of reason, that little bit of knowledge that you could get from an older individual, regardless of color. And now that I'm in that position, it's really, really important to address these social issues and talk about and really prioritize life over the sport. We live the sport. I love the game. I played my whole life. Of course, it's my career. I get paid to coach and be involved in the game. But the biggest thing I can teach or coach my guys about is, about being a man, about being responsible. We have core values in our program that we adhere to, that we live by, and addressing social issues and talking about the climate of what's going on, not just in the nation, but in our building, in our school. We have things happen all the time. You're around 2,000 teenagers, you get 2,000 teenagers in one building, man. You never know what could go down at any given moment. So, we address these issues as a coaching staff and as a team and as a family. And we make sure that we address things head on. And this would definitely be, this is like the biggest fish we could ever fry. So bringing this one to the table with the guys is really, really important. And, make sure we circle back on it and try to learn something from it, as adults and for the kids, but definitely addressing the issue together as a family.
Are there any particular experiences in your life that you are comfortable sharing here that you experienced, just acts of racism towards you? And then also I would ask, are those experiences that you share with your student athletes, and to kind of give them some perspective on your life and experiences and how to maybe help them when they're, growing up and experiencing life in this country?
Yeah, you have to give them real world experiences. I always like to tell them, you can learn from someone else's mistake, then you're a really smart person. So I've made mistakes in my lifetime, and I've had a few brushes with racism growing up. There's one short story, I guess, happened to me and some of my good friends. We were in undergrad at the time. I was probably 20 years old, maybe, going on 21 or in around there. And, me and some college buddies were just out and about, and we were coming out of a bar or something. And there was an issue where my brother had got into some type of argument with some police officers outside. So a friend of ours came back. I didn't know he was in the argument. He was out there by himself. There were probably, 4 or 5 of us that were inside the establishment. And a buddy of mine came in and was like, "Hey, man, the police got robbed outside. They're getting ready to lock him up. They got the handcuffs on him." So I came outside first, and I didn't see him when I walked outside of the establishment. I did see there's a few police officers right outside the door, but my brother wasn't there, and I was just kind of waiting around to see what's going on. And a friend of mine followed behind me, maybe a minute or so later. But when he came out, he was a little more boisterous about, where's Rob? My brother's name is Rob. Where's Rob? And he was kind of being just very vocal and just being loud, really. And the police immediately just grabbed him and like threw him in the full Nelson. And we were just blown away, like, why are you just grabbing and throwing him in the full Nelson? Because he was being loud. We're outside, and he was just being loud and kind of boisterous, and they just immediately grabbed him, put him in the full Nelson, and then grabbed my other friend that was behind him and kind of jacked him up. And then I found myself just so quickly like getting involved in this, and the thing that kind of struck me was just how fast something like that could happen. You just walk out of an establishment being loud and boisterous, and all of a sudden you're in a full Nelson by a police officer. Like, so yeah, that was one issue. It was just me and some friends. We were all minorities, and the police officers just immediately just yapped up my buddy, got the other one, then got me as well. And before you knew it, they had like 4 or 5 of us on the sidewalk in handcuffs on our knees, like. And it just happened. We went from like just having a regular conversation inside of an establishment to 2 minutes later being handcuffed with, on our knees on the sidewalk outside the establishment. It's like, how does this even happen? So, yeah, those some of the type of situations that we present to our young men, and just let them know, when you're out and about and you're making decisions, you have to be very conscientious of those decisions. And if you do have some type of conflict with someone who's in a position of authority, you're looking at police officers, so forth, you need to calm down. That's my main thing I always tell guys: just calm down, let them be in control, and then you just kind of follow suit. But don't try to be in control of a situation you can't be in control of, because things could escalate very quickly. And that's the thing, I kind of let them know how quickly that situation escalated with myself and my friends. Things escalate very quickly. And it's important that when you're in that type of situation that you immediately just try to calm down the best you can and just kind of work through it.
It's good advice for sure. I've been in some situations that got out of hand pretty quickly too. So when I was much younger, so I appreciate you being able to give that advice to those young men. What would you say to white people, white men and women, who don't live the experience of black and brown people, and maybe even if this is relative to some of your coaching too, as far as how teamwork goes and being, I think a lot of people are using the term ally right now, and being an ally to black and brown people. how can what would you say to white people that want to be an ally? How to best go about doing that?
Where everyone is going to have their own individual way of wanting to help or want to, participate in helping to make a change. And for any white individual that would want to help, do what's comfortable for you. If what's comfortable for you is to go and protest, on any given day, and doing it peacefully, then you definitely should do that. If what's comfortable for you is going to a YMCA and volunteering your time with some young people, then you should do that. If what's comfortable for you is, maybe helping out in your immediate community, and just, going and getting to know people, on your street. I'm amazed, like, in my neighborhood, and I live in a neighborhood that's very diverse. I live in East Atlanta, and, it's very diverse. But you'd be amazed how there's some neighbors that don't know each other. They've been living next to each other for years, or living on the same street, and really don't have even just a any type of casual conversation with each other. So maybe just doing that. So whatever is most comfortable for you, I would suggest that you could do that. I can't tell anybody what they should or should not do, because they just may not be comfortable for it, no matter their intent. But the one thing they should do that I could just kind of encourage is just to just have empathy. Put yourself in other people's shoes. And I was more or less, I can't say I was surprised, but I was somewhat surprised with how genuine some white people were about. They really and truly just don't have a clue about some of these regular occurrences that happen in society when it comes to race and racism. And I can side with that, and I just encourage them to continue to use empathy and to do research and find some type of positive way to give back, whatever it may be that you feel comfortable with.
Thank you. We talked about this before we got started today. Our company is a content production and marketing company. So we're focused really on business to business relationships. And we created Into the Current initially to really focus on that and to talk about business people who are using technology and innovative ways to grow their business. And so we're the business audience is kind of an audience that we're cultivating. What would you tell to business owners, either small or large, inside our community here in Atlanta and all around the United States, about how they can help young people? Because I think you're kind of an expert on young people. How can they help young people get ready for life outside of high school and be successful in whatever career they choose to pursue, and how can they help them with the lens of trying to increase social justice and equality?
I would suggest just to lend support, however you can. These young people need support. There's a lot of individuals, that are teenagers that are trying to pursue secondary options, post high school, who a lot of times just don't have the resources. There's a lot of individuals who are trying to accomplish certain goals while in high school, and they may not have the, resources to equip them to be able to compete with other people that do have those resources. So, if you could lend support, some type of way to your local school community, it'd be appreciated a lot. And then, the support is also that moral support. You could go in and stick your head into any high school in your local community. You can go and sign in, and you could join, the neighborhood. Like we have dads that come in and just, they're the dads of students at the school that come and just volunteer their time to help out with, policing the hallways or helping out at lunch duty. They come to all the athletic events and get to know the kids on a first name basis. They donate money, to the athletic program or to the various programs at the school to give support so the, various teams and stuff can buy supplies and, be prepared for elite competition. So, there's ways to give back, and you just kind of have to do, what's in your comfort zone again, but then again, still maybe just explore a little bit more and go lay your eyes on it for yourself and see what you can do individually.
It's great advice. It's great advice, Rory. I really appreciate you joining us today. I do want to give you, normally when I talk to people, I give them a chance to say anything they want to say that maybe we didn't ask you. If there's anything else that you wanted to communicate here today, I just give you the mic right now, and you can do that.
If I could say anything, I would highly encourage individuals to register to vote and to be, a political participant. When I was a youngster, I'll be honest, I didn't care anything about politics growing up. I'm what you call a mixed Latino. My father's a black, Latino, and my mother's basically a white Latino. And having that dynamic, not only of race, but of culture kind of fused together growing up, to be honest, politics was not anything that was just highly regarded in my household. And as I got older and started to understand how important it was to be a political participant, it took a little bit of maturity for me to get there. And like we was talking about earlier, if I can give anything back, is that, and I was a smart person, someone who can learn from someone else's mistake. Learn from those individuals before you who maybe weren't as politically active or didn't use their right to their advantage to make sustainable change. Because really and truly, that's the way to make sustainable change. So if you want to see change, you want to see progress, you have to get involved politically. You have to encourage that within your circle, and you have to push that envelope as hard as you can, because that will make some real change happen. It may not say it's not gonna happen overnight, but it will make things get better.
That's incredible advice. I really appreciate that. I want to also give you the opportunity again, because you're a coach and an educator, and I know that you guys welcome support for your program, and you've got, I believe you're one of the maybe multiple time now Coach of the Year, basketball Coach of the Year.
Yes.
State of Georgia, is that right?
Yeah.
And and before we were talking, you also, I want to give some of your players some shout outs here, that you've got at least 3, maybe 4 scholarship players. Right.
Yeah. We were blessed this year. We had 3 of our seniors that signed full athletic scholarships to college. My starting point guard, Kason Jennings, he signed with Kennesaw State University. My starting shooting guard, Patrick Carter Jr., signed with Campbell University up in North Carolina. And my starting power forward, Joshua Butts, he signed with Carson Newman University up in Tennessee. So we've had some great success, and we've won some games, and we've won some state championships, and we've done some things that put us in the category of being a powerhouse program. That's great, but more importantly, we've had just a really good group of kids since the day I've got there that have put in the work, put in the time, and that have really and truly represented Langston Hughes High School and Fulton County schools on an elite level. We've done it with the best of them. We've got guys that have gone off to do, bigger and brighter things. We've had guys go make it to the professional ranks. We have a ton of guys that are in college playing currently. We have guys that have graduated with college degrees and that have entered the workforce prepared to compete, like on a global stage. And those things are very, proud. We're very proud of those things, and we just want to keep that trend going. If anyone ever wants to follow us, you could follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @LHughesHoops. And if you get a chance, come check out a game in the near future. We'd love to have you.
Is there a way, if somebody saw this, they wanted to support you guys financially, that they could do that within the rules of all the different rules that are out there?
Yes, they sure could. We have fundraising that we do yearly. And we accept donations, as a public school, 503c, and we can, get you squared away on that. But we definitely accept, donations, and we love to have. We also love to have just people come interact with our team. That goes a long way with us as well. So we like to have different voices come in and kind of spend time with us. Either way, we love to have it.
Rory, that's awesome. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day today. I know it was a busy day. It's voting day here in Georgia, 2020 primary, and a lot going on in our country. So thanks for coming and talking and just being real about what's going on in our country as far as social justice and equality. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Love it, man. Love to return sometime in the future, and wish you guys all the best.
And great luck to you and all your student athletes and all the students there at Langston Hughes High School. Thank you for doing that too. Appreciate it.
All right. You guys have a good one.
You too. I just really want to sincerely thank Rory for coming and joining us today on Into the Current. Vertical River is committed to telling meaningful stories and amplifying important voices. That's why we started this company. It's what we're all about. If you like what you heard here today, please share it with your friends, tell somebody about it, your business network, and help amplify these voices that we're given the microphone to. It's an important time in our country. You can find more conversations about social justice and business innovation at verticalriver.co. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.